The afternoon sun beat down mercilessly on the long stretch of the Lagos-Ibadan expressway. The tar shimmered like liquid metal, and not a single car had passed for nearly 10 minutes. Then, out of nowhere, a gleaming black Bentley Mulsanne rolled to a halt by the roadside. One of its rear tires hissed and collapsed flat against the hot ground. From inside, a man in his early 50s stepped out, dressed in a crisp white shirt, gold cufflinks catching the sunlight. He removed his sunglasses and sighed in disbelief. This was Chief Oladiran Adesoji, one of Nigeria's most influential billionaires, known for his ruthlessness in business and his perfectionism in everything else. But now, under this blazing heat, he was simply a stranded man with dust on his shoes and frustration on his face. He looked around the empty road and muttered, "This can't be happening." Down the hill from the highway, 3 boys were walking home from a small football pitch in their village. Tunde, 14, Malik, 13, and Chibike, 12. Their jerseys were torn, feet dusty, and laughter loud enough to echo against the bush. They were brothers not by blood but by survival. None had fathers around, and all 3 worked odd jobs to help their mothers put food on the table. As they climbed toward the main road, they saw the Bentley gleaming under the sun like something from another world. Malik stopped, squinting. "See that car, N? That one no be for normal people." Tunde replied, "Na big man motor be that. Maybe he's lost." Chibuiki added shyly, "Or maybe he needs help." None of them knew that what they were about to do would rewrite their destinies. Chief Adesoji had popped the boot open and was struggling with the spare tire. His hands were trembling, not from weakness but from annoyance. He had built empires, negotiated billion-dollar deals, and chaired international summits. Yet, here he was, sweating under the African sun, battling a stubborn carjack. "Where's that driver of mine when I need him?" he grumbled. The chauffeur had been sent back to the city earlier for documents. The billionaire was alone. Suddenly he heard footsteps behind him. Turning, he saw the 3 boys approaching carefully, their faces bright with curiosity and humility. "Good afternoon, sir," Tunde greeted, bowing slightly. "We see say your tire burst. You need small help?" Chief frowned, wiping sweat from his brow. "You? What do you boys know about changing a tire like this?" Malik stepped forward confidently, lifting the jack handle with both hands. "We fit help you, sir. We do for keek and bus before." Chibike nodded quickly. "Make we try, sir. No be hard thing." The chief stared at them, half amused and half irritated. But something in Tunde's eyes, steady, unafraid and honest, made him step aside. "Fine," he said finally. "Let's see what you can do." The boys got to work immediately. Dust flew as they loosened bolts, lifted the car, and replaced the tire with precision that surprised the chief. They laughed, joked, and even argued playfully about whose hand was steadier. Within 15 minutes, the Bentley stood proud again, ready for the road. Chief Adesoji couldn't believe it. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a few crisp N1000 notes, and handed them over. "Take this," he said flatly. "Go buy something." The boys hesitated, but Tunde pushed Malik's hand forward to accept. As the billionaire got back into his car, something inside him stirred. A rare flicker of curiosity about these boys who didn't beg but offered help. The engine purred to life, and he lowered his window. "Where are you from?" he asked. "Arbor Village, sir," Tunde replied proudly. "Our house day, just behind that hill." Chief nodded slowly, eyes lingering on their dusty feet and radiant smiles. "Be careful walking home," he said and drove off, leaving a swirl of dust behind. The boys waved until the Bentley disappeared from sight, unaware that the man they'd just helped was not only one of the richest men in West Africa, but also one who had lost faith in kindness long ago. That day, something unspoken passed between them, a silent seed planted in the soil of fate. When the boys finally returned home, their mothers were already waiting, curious about their dusty faces and tired smiles. Tunde handed his mother the folded notes. "We helped one big man fix his tire," he said proudly. "He'd dash us money." His mother, Mama Tunde, smiled but warned softly. "Money no be everything, my son. Help people because it's right, not because of what you'll get." He nodded, but Malik laughed. "If all rich men they give us like that, I go help all of them." They all burst into laughter, unaware that at that very moment, miles away in Victoria Island, Chief Adesoji sat silently in his glass-walled mansion, replaying the boys' faces in his mind. For the first time in years, he felt something unexpected. Hope. The kind of hope that comes when the universe reminds a man that goodness still exists in the most unlikely places. That night, Chief Adesoji could not sleep. His mansion overlooked the Atlantic, waves crashing softly against the private shore, yet his thoughts roared louder than any tide. He lay on his silk sheets, staring at the ceiling, thinking of the three boys. He remembered their dusty feet, their laughter, their confidence, how they helped him without fear or flattery. He had spent decades around men who smiled only for profit, who worshipped him because of what he owned. Yet those boys looked at him like he was just another man who needed help. It unsettled him. He turned in bed and reached for the lamp beside him, the golden base engraved with his initials. The reflection of the light reminded him of the Bentley's tire, and the smudge of dust one of the boys had left on it. He smiled faintly. "Arbor Village," he whispered. Meanwhile, in that very village, the boys slept on thin mats under mosquito nets, full of tiny holes. The air was thick and humid. Crickets chirped. Malik mumbled in his sleep, dreaming of a world where his mother didn't have to borrow money to buy kerosene. Chibuike rolled over clutching his small wooden cross, and Tunde lay awake staring at the ceiling. He wasn't sure why, but something about that rich man's eyes stayed in his mind, the loneliness he had seen behind the gold-rimmed glasses. He looked like somebody who get everything, but still empty, Tunde thought. He didn't know that at that very hour, that same man was thinking of him too. Fate was already weaving its quiet thread. By morning, Chief Adesoji sat in his study, the one room that truly reflected his heart, silent, immaculate, and lonely. Portraits of his younger self hung on the wall, a boy from Ibadan who rose from nothing to own oil blocks and luxury towers. But in one photo, the smile was missing. "When last did someone help me without expecting something in return?" he muttered. His personal assistant entered quietly, holding the day's schedule. "Sir, your meeting with the finance board is set for 11. Chief nodded absently. "Cancel it. Get me the driver. We're going somewhere." The assistant hesitated, surprised. "Where to, sir?" Chief's lips curved. Arbor Village. The black Rolls Royce Phantom glided out of his compound like a royal chariot. The driver, Mr. Aiken, kept glancing through the mirror, confused. "Ogre, we done reached that kind place before." Chief didn't answer. As the smooth tarmac gave way to gravel, then to dusty paths flanked by cocoa trees and mud houses, people stopped and stared. Children pointed, shouting, "Big motor, Don come!" Chickens scattered. Mothers peered from windows. The Rolls Royce stopped right where the dirt road split into two, just near a cluster of small houses. Chief stepped out, the same gold cufflinks shining on his wrists. Villagers gasped softly. None had ever seen such a car, let alone a man like this stepping into their midst. "Good afternoon, sir," an old man greeted, removing his cap. "You find somebody?" Chief smiled politely. "Yes. 3 boys. They helped me yesterday by the express road." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Within minutes, Tunde, Malik, and Chibuike came running barefoot, their eyes wide in disbelief. "Sir, you came," Tunde exclaimed, nearly bowing. Chief laughed gently. "Yes, I came. I owe you boys more than just money." The crowd's whispers grew. Some thought he was a politician. Others thought he was scouting for workers. But as the billionaire looked around at the cracked walls, the dry well, and the hungry eyes of the people, he knew what he had to do. Something inside him, shifted permanently, from businessman to human being again. The next morning, Chief Adesoji returned again, this time with 2 construction trucks, several workers, and a black Prado escort. The entire village erupted with noise. "Na wetin day happen?" one woman asked, peeking from her kitchen. "Dem say Chief wan build something for here," another replied. And indeed he was. Standing on a raised patch of land, Chief addressed the crowd, his voice calm but firm. "Yesterday, 3 boys showed me what it means to be human. They helped me not because I'm rich, but because they have good hearts. I came here today to say thank you, not only to them, but to this entire community." The villagers clapped in confusion. No one had ever heard a man of his wealth speak so humbly. "From today," he continued, "this place will have clean water, solar lights, and a small learning centre for children." Cheers erupted. Some women wept. Tundi stood frozen. "Sir, you don't need to do all this," he said softly. Chief smiled, placing a hand on his shoulder. "My son, kindness is like seed. It doesn't die. It grows where it was planted." Malik grinned widely. "Na so dem rich people dey talk," he whispered to Chibuike, earning a playful slap from Tunde. But behind the boys' laughter was a feeling none of them could explain. Pride mixed with awe. As cement bags were unloaded and workers began digging foundations, Tunde's mother came forward, tying her wrapper tightly. "God bless you, sir," she said tearfully. "We've lived here for 20 years without light or clean water." Chief nodded solemnly. "The blessing is already yours, Ma." Later that day, Chief sat under a mango tree, sharing bottled water with the boys. "Tell me," he asked, "what do you want to become?" Tunde spoke first. "Engineer, sir. I want to fix big things, not just tires." Malik laughed. "I want to become footballer like Osimhen." Chibuike looked shy. "I just want to build one big church for God." Chief's smile softened. "You boys have dreams. That's good. Keep them alive, no matter what happens." He stood, brushing dust off his shoes, and looked toward the horizon. "When I was your age, I had nothing too. Maybe that's why God made me meet you." It was a simple statement, but it carried the weight of destiny. By evening, when the sun dipped behind the palm trees, the construction noise had quieted. The boys escorted Chief back to his car. The entire village lined the road, waving. "Thank you, Chief. God bless you. Nah, Saviour be this." He nodded silently, stepping into the Rolls Royce. As the car drove off, he looked in the mirror one last time, at the smiling faces fading behind him. For the first time in a long while, Chief Oladiran Adesoji felt peace. He didn't know it yet, but his life was about to change even more than theirs. Weeks passed. The water borehole stood finished, its silver pump glinting under the morning sun. Children gathered every dawn to fetch water, laughing as they filled yellow jerry cans. Night, solar lamps lit up corners that had known only darkness. But one morning, a different car pulled up in front of Chief Adesoji's mansion, sleek, black, and unfamiliar. Out stepped a tall man in a grey suit. "Sir," the guards greeted respectfully. "Who are you?" "From the ministry," he said smoothly. "We heard about your philanthropic project in Abba village." Chief raised an eyebrow as the man entered his study, praising him for his generosity. But halfway through the conversation it became clear the man was there not to thank him, but to find leverage, to make him donate to a political campaign. Chief's expression hardened. "So even goodness is now a business," he said coldly. "Leave my house." That encounter stirred something fierce in him. He remembered Tunde's mother's words. Help people because it's right. He realized most people only gave when cameras were watching. But those boys, they gave time, sweat, and heart without expecting anything. "I must make sure their kindness never dies," he whispered. He called his lawyer that evening. "Prepare 3 scholarships, secondary through university, full sponsorship." The lawyer, startled, asked, "Names, sir?" Chief smiled. "Tunde, Malik, and Chibuke. That same week, his secretary arranged new school admissions in Lagos, complete with uniforms, accommodation, and tutors. But he didn't tell the boys yet. He wanted to surprise them in person. The next weekend, the Rolls Royce rolled once more into Arbor Village. The moment it appeared, people screamed with joy. "Chief Don, come again!" Drums beat, women danced, children ran barefoot after the car. But when the doors opened, Chief didn't step out alone. With him were 3 men in suits carrying sealed envelopes. He called out, "Tunde, Malik, Chibuike, come here." The boys rushed forward, trembling with excitement. "I made a promise," Chief began. "You gave me kindness when I least expected it. Now, I'll give you something that will change your future." He handed each an envelope. Inside were letters of admission, sponsorship certificates, and checks for their families. The crowd gasped. The boys' mothers fell to their knees in tears. If you're enjoying this story so far, the narrator's voice would pause here. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this story with your friends. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were in these boys' shoes? The journey to Lagos felt like a dream. The boys sat wide-eyed in the back seat of the Rolls Royce, watching the world blur past. Tall buildings, billboards, bridges, and endless traffic. For children who had never gone beyond their village, it felt like stepping into a movie. "Nah, so city day big?" Malik gasped. Chief chuckled softly. "You haven't seen anything yet." When they arrived at a gated estate in Lekki, they could hardly breathe. "This will be your new school and home," he said. "You'll live here with guardians. Study hard. Make me proud." The boys nodded fervently, still speechless. Each dorm room was bigger than their entire house back home. They had uniforms, books, and beds with white sheets. For the first time, Chibuike slept under a ceiling fan and dreamt without mosquitoes buzzing around him. Weeks turned into months. Tunde excelled in mathematics and physics. Malik joined the school football team. Chibuike became known for leading morning prayers. Every weekend, Chief visited, bringing gifts and advice. But deep down, he was learning from them too, about simplicity, gratitude, and joy. He no longer measured his success by his bank account, but by the smiles he created. Meanwhile, rumours spread across Lagos newspapers. Oil tycoon funds village children's education. Chief ignored them. "Let them write what they want," he told his assistant. "I didn't do it for headlines." Back in Arbor Village, the boys' mothers became symbols of hope. Journalists visited, pastors preached about them, and children shouted, "We go help people too." The ripple of kindness had begun. One night, as Chief watched the news showing footage of the new school water pump, he smiled. "It started with a flat tire," he murmured. "Maybe God deflated that tire himself." That night, as the camera fades in a YouTube narration, the storyteller's voice would close softly. Sometimes the smallest act of help can open doors no one expected. What about you? Have you ever seen a simple act of kindness change a life? Months passed quickly in Lagos. The boys were adjusting, but the city tested them in unexpected ways. Tunde, now 15, found the lessons challenging but exciting. Malik struggled at first. Too much noise, too many rules. But football practice became his sanctuary. Chibuike was quiet and observant, always reading his Bible after class. One afternoon, as rain pounded on the dorm roof, Tunde overheard 2 rich classmates laughing at them. "Those bush boys? They think scholarship makes them special," one sneered. The words stung, but Tunde didn't respond. Later that night, when Malik angrily wanted to fight, Tunde said calmly, "Let them talk. We know where we came from, and we know where we're going." That wisdom reminded Chibuike of his mother's saying, "When you carry truth in your heart, no insult can break your spirit." Chief Adezoji, meanwhile, was changing too. His assistant noticed he smiled more often. He spent weekends visiting schools and orphanages instead of luxury clubs. His business partners whispered, Chief Don turn philanthropist O. But he didn't care. Each time he saw the boys' progress reports, his heart softened. One evening, he told his lawyer, set up a foundation in their names, the Tunde, Malik and Chibuike Foundation for Young Dreamers. The lawyer blinked in surprise. In their names, sir? Yes, Chief replied, because they reminded me who I was before money blinded me. For the first time in decades, Chief Oladiran Adesoji prayed, not for wealth, but for purpose. The boys' lives, however, were not without challenges. Malik got into trouble when a coach accused him of being too rough on the field. Chibuik faced teasing for being too religious. And Tunde, who everyone looked up to, began to feel the pressure of being the leader. But every time one faltered, the other two lifted him. They became brothers in truth, not just in struggle. One night, while watching the city lights from the dorm balcony, Tunde whispered, "Do you ever think about home?" Malik smiled faintly. "Every day. But Chief say, make we face future." Chibuiki added softly, "Home go see us again. When we ready." None of them knew how prophetic those words would become. When Chief visited next, he brought them to his office overlooking the sea. "I'm proud of you," he said. "But remember, your kindness brought you here, not my money. Never forget that." Tunde nodded, his young face steady. "Yes, sir." Chief looked out at the waves, thinking how much they reminded him of fate. Sometimes calm, sometimes wild, always moving. "You boys changed me," he said quietly. "And maybe, just maybe, I was sent to change you too." 3 years later, the boys were no longer children. Tunde had grown taller, sharper, and spoke with quiet confidence. Malik had become a star footballer, the pride of the school. Chibuik, now 16, had started mentoring younger students. The school had transformed too, thanks to Chief's continued support. But one evening, during an alumni dinner, something unexpected happened. Chief Adesoji collapsed while giving a speech. Panic spread through the hall. Students screamed. Tunde rushed forward, helping lift the billionaire as paramedics arrived. The doctor later said it was a mild heart attack, exhaustion and stress. For days, Chief lay in the hospital, motionless, connected to machines. The boys visited daily, sitting by his bedside, holding his hands. "You'll be fine, sir," Tunde whispered. "You still have promises to keep." During that time, reporters filled the hospital gate. Nigeria's wealthiest man hospitalized. Philanthropist billionaire in critical condition. But to the boys, he wasn't just a headline, he was family. Malik refused to go to practice. Chibuike prayed night and day. Nurses watched in awe as 3 village boys, once nobodies, now guarded the room of a billionaire like sons guarding a father. When Chief finally woke up on the 4th day, his first words were faint but clear. "Are my boys here?" The nurse nodded, smiling. They ran in, eyes filled with tears. "We're here, sir," Tunde said, gripping his hand. Chief smiled weakly. "Good, because I thought I was going to leave without saying thank you." The recovery was slow, but it changed him completely. He cancelled half his business engagements and spent months focusing on health and family. He even reconnected with his estranged daughter, Aisha, who had been living abroad. When the boys met her, she was stunned. "So these are the famous 3, she laughed warmly. Malik grinned. "Yes, Ma, we fix tires and break hearts." Everyone laughed, including Chief, his first deep laugh in weeks. Aisha, touched by the story, joined her father's foundation, managing scholarship projects. Slowly, the Adesoji household came alive again. The mansion that once echoed with silence now rang with voices, laughter, and the clinking of plates during dinner. Yet, deep inside, Chief knew something else. His time was limited. The doctors had warned, avoid stress. But his heart was already heavy with the desire to see the boys succeed fully before anything happened. He called his lawyer once more. "If anything happens to me," he said, "the foundation continues, and those boys must always have a home here." The lawyer nodded gravely, sealing the documents. Chief smiled faintly. "It all started with a flat tire, and it will end with peace." Years passed. Tunde entered university to study mechanical engineering, fulfilling his childhood dream. Malik joined a professional football academy in Abuja, and Chibuike got accepted into seminary school to become a pastor. Chief attended each of their send-off ceremonies personally, his pride visible in every handshake and smile. "You are my legacy," he said to them. "Not the buildings, not the companies. You." They promised to make him proud, but life, as always, had surprises. In Tunde's second year, his mother fell seriously ill back in the village. The hospital bills were high, and despite the scholarship, he worried endlessly. Chief, hearing the news, sent a team of doctors and covered every cost. Still, the illness dragged on. Tunde began skipping classes, praying more than sleeping. Malik called often, saying, "Bro, hold strong, we day for you." Meanwhile, Malik's career skyrocketed. Scouts were watching him. But with fame came temptation. One evening, after a big match, an agent offered him money to throw a game. Malik hesitated. He thought of Chief's voice. "Never trade your integrity." He refused, and lost the contract. It hurt deeply, but he slept peacefully. Chibuike, on the other hand, faced his own test when he was asked to compromise his beliefs to gain sponsorship. He refused too. Each of them, in different corners of Nigeria, fought silent battles that proved what true character meant. Chief, now older and walking slower, watched all this from afar like a proud father. His doctors insisted he retire completely, but he couldn't stop following the boys' progress. "They're my mirror," he said. "When they shine, I live." On his 65th birthday, they all reunited in Lagos. The celebration was emotional, filled with music, tears, and laughter. Tunde presented him with a gift, a framed photo of the flat tire scene, drawn from memory. "This is where our story began," Tunde said. Chief looked at it, tears glistening in his eyes. "And this," he replied softly, "is where my heart began to heal." If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share it with your friends. And tell me in the comments, have you ever met someone whose kindness changed your life forever? One rainy night, months after that reunion, Tunde got a call that froze his heart. Chief Adesoji had passed away in his sleep. Silence filled the dorm room. Malik, upon hearing the news, collapsed on his knees. Chibuike wept openly. The man who had become their second father was gone. The funeral was massive. Government officials, businessmen, pastors, and celebrities all attended. But when the time came for tributes, the hall fell silent as 3 young men in black suits stepped forward. Tunde spoke first, his voice trembling. "We were just 3 boys who stopped to help a stranger fix his tire. We didn't know he was a billionaire. We didn't know he would change our lives. But he did," Malik continued. "He taught us that real wealth is not what you have. It's what you give," Chibuike finished softly. "And his kindness will keep teaching the world, even in his absence." The audience stood in tears. Aisha, Chief's daughter, embraced them tightly afterward. "He called you his sons," she whispered, "and you always will be." The will was read a week later. True to his word, Chief had left part of his estate to the foundation and appointed the 3 boys as trustees. Tunde could hardly believe it. "He trusted us with everything," he murmured. Malik added, "We must not fail him." They vowed to keep his legacy alive. Years later, people across Nigeria would tell their children this story, how 3 poor boys helped a stranger on a hot afternoon and ended up transforming a whole community, how a flat tire turned into a lifetime of blessings, and how kindness once planted grows into something death itself cannot erase. In Lagos, under the golden evening sky, the Rolls Royce once again drove through Abba village, this time carrying not a billionaire, but 3 men whose hearts were richer than gold. 10 years later, the names Tunde, Malik, and Chibuike had become household symbols of hope across Nigeria. The foundation they managed, the Adesoji Dream Initiative, built schools in rural towns, gave scholarships to orphans, and opened youth centres from Lagos to Enugu. Billboards carried their slogan, "Kindness is wealth." But success brought new storms. Politicians tried to use their fame for campaigns. Business partners dangled shady deals in exchange for favours. Yet, the boys, now men, stood firm, remembering their roots. Tunde, now a respected engineer, oversaw projects that brought clean energy to forgotten villages. Malik, the once reckless footballer, had turned professional, but every match he played carried a message on his jersey: play for purpose. Chibuike, now Reverend Chibuike Nwosu, preached in communities where poverty and despair once ruled, reminding people that God hides miracles in small acts. Despite their achievements, something kept tugging at them: home. Abba village had changed, but memories of their barefoot childhood lingered. So one evening, after a long board meeting, Tunde said, "Let's go back, not as guests, as sons." The others agreed. The following weekend, a convoy of black vehicles wound through the same dusty roads they once walked. The villagers, older now, gathered again in disbelief. "Ha! These our boys done turned big men," someone shouted. Mama Tunde, her hair now grey, cried tears of joy as she hugged her son tightly. "You see what I tell you that day? Help because it's right, not because of what you'll get." Tunde nodded, voice breaking. "Mama, you were right." That evening, under the same mango tree where they'd once sat with Chief, the 3 men addressed the crowd. "We came to say thank you," Tunde began. "This village raised us. Chief Adesoji changed our lives, but you gave us roots." Malik added, smiling, "When we left, there was 1 borehole. Now, there'll be 5. Laughter erupted. Then Chibuike lifted his Bible, saying softly, "Everything good begins with love, not money, not fame, love." The villagers clapped, moved to tears. As night fell, drums echoed through the air, and the old chief priest blessed them, saying, "May your hearts never run dry." That night, the sky above Abba village glittered brighter than ever before. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Tunde walked alone toward the old road, the one where they'd first met Chief. He knelt beside the overgrown grass, touching the ground. "This was the spot," he whispered. Malik joined him, staring at the empty highway. "Feels like he's still here, watching." Chibuike nodded. "He is. He lives in everything we do." The breeze blew gently, carrying with it the scent of rain and dust, the same scent of the day that changed their lives forever. The following months brought a new dream. Tunde proposed building a leadership and innovation academy in Abba village, a modern school dedicated to training underprivileged children for global opportunities. "It will be our biggest project yet," he told Malik and Chibuike. "But it must stand on the same soil where we met Chief." They agreed. The groundbreaking drew attention from across the country. Cameras rolled as bulldozers cleared land, and the governor himself attended. But as Tunde stepped to the microphone, he didn't talk about politics or profits. He told the story. The flat tire, the dusty road, and 3 boys who believed helping was worth more than waiting for help. The crowd was silent, many wiping tears. "This place will not just teach skills," Tunde said finally. "It will teach heart." Months later, the school opened with 500 students from different tribes and religions. They called it Adesoji Academy of Purpose. Malik sponsored sports programs, Chibuike led weekly moral classes, and Tunde taught engineering basics. Children adored them, calling them Uncle Tunde, Coach Malik, and Pastor Chi. Every corner of the academy carried murals of kindness. One showed 3 boys fixing a car, another showed a Rolls Royce under golden light. It wasn't just a school, it was a living memory. One day, Aisha Adesoji visited the academy. She walked through the corridors, touched the walls, and smiled. "He would have been proud," she said. "You three kept his heart alive." Tunda replied softly, "He gave us one. We just made sure it kept beating." That evening, they held a dedication ceremony beside the flagpole. The sunset painted the sky in hues of orange and gold, the same colours that filled that first afternoon long ago. Chibuike prayed aloud, "May this place stand as proof that a single act of kindness can build generations." Malik placed a football at the foot of the flagpole, whispering, "From dust to destiny." The wind carried the words upward, as though Chief himself was listening, but fate still had one last twist. As the school celebrated its first anniversary, a massive rainstorm struck the region, flooding nearby villages. The academy opened its gates as shelter. Hundreds poured in, children, mothers, farmers, all seeking safety. The three men worked through the night, handing out blankets and food. Tunde used engineering skills to redirect floodwater. Malik helped lift the elderly to safety. Chibuike comforted families who had lost everything. When dawn came, hundreds of lives had been saved. Reporters arrived, calling it a miracle of Aba village. But to them, it wasn't a miracle. It was simply duty. A year later, on the anniversary of Chief's passing, a memorial was held at the academy. The sun rose gently over the rebuilt village. The Rolls Royce, now polished like new, stood parked near the entrance, its engines silent, but majestic. Students placed flowers around it, calling it the car that brought hope. Tunde stood before the crowd, now in his early 30s, a calm leader whose eyes carried the wisdom of 1,000 stories. "This is not just Chief Adesoji's legacy," he said. "It's ours, yours, mine, everyone who believes that small acts matter." Malik, standing beside him in his national team jacket, added, "He found us when we had nothing. Now we give so others can have something." Chibuike closed with a prayer. "Father, bless every hand that helps another. Let no heart grow too proud to bend." The wind rustled softly through the flags, carrying their words beyond the horizon. After the ceremony, Tunde sat inside, the Rolls Royce alone for a while. He looked around the dashboard, still spotless, and whispered, "You did it, sir. Your kindness didn't end with us." He turned the key. The engine purred to life, echoing like a heartbeat. Outside, children laughed as they played football on the new field. The academy bell rang. The world kept moving, but something sacred lingered in the air, a reminder that goodness, once released, never dies. That night, as the narrator's voice would soften for the closing lines on YouTube, the story would end like this. They say kindness is a seed. When planted with sincerity, it grows roots deeper than memory and branches wider than time. Those three boys didn't know who they were helping that day, but heaven did. And from one act of compassion came a legacy that outlived fortune, fame, and even death. The screen would fade to the golden image of the Rolls Royce gliding down the same dusty road where it all began. Only this time, the laughter of children echoed in the wind.